Reborn, this time I avoid any interaction with Gunyinching. She says she's not going home for the summer, so I pack my things and return to my village. She helps Lu Mingyan take care of his child, so I move out of our place. She decides to go south to start a business, and I run north to go to college. In my old age in my previous life, even my own child advised me to divorce her to fulfill their undying love. Even more ironically, in my past life, I worked myself to the bone to earn money, only to find out that my wife and child were someone else's. Holding the acceptance letter, I'm overwhelmed with excitement. At the last moment, I change my application, preparing to go to college in the north. The teacher asks in surprise, "Your fiancé is afraid of the cold and is planning to go south, but you want to go north. Isn't that going in completely opposite directions? Can you even get married?" Regarding Gun Yinxing, her beautiful and captivating figure flashes in my mind. Everyone knows that I got into the city school through Gu's family connections. Gun Yinxing has a good family background, good looks, and good grades, while my dad was originally her dad's driver who once saved his life, leading to an arranged marriage. Otherwise, a poor kid like me would never have been able to enter her circle. I say in a serious tone, the marriage was arranged by our fathers. This kind of marriage that goes against personal will is not in line with the current trend of freedom of marriage. The teacher looks at me in surprise and smiles. Not bad. You've learned the essence of Marxist thought. Me? After leaving the school, I returned to the dormitory. In my past life, I went south to college with Gun Yinxing, and we got married soon after. She became pregnant not long after that. With a child, the financial pressure on the family suddenly increased. I couldn't keep up with my studies, and since there was a lot of business being done at that time, I dropped out of school to start business. From then on, I had to run around the country, while she stayed at home as a wealthy housewife, hiring a nanny and taking care of the child. Outside, I ran around doing business, eating and drinking, socializing and smiling, and sending a considerable amount of living expenses home every month. Every time I came home, she and my child didn't give me a good look. The relationship between mother and child was so good that the child even called another man dad. Later, they even went so far as to hold a grand 60th birthday banquet for Lu Mingyan. They hid it from me, and I only saw it in a friend's social media post. My son was kneeling on the ground, serving tea to Lu Mingyan. In the photo, Gun Yinxing, my son, and Lu Mingyan were leaning against each other, smiling kindly, looking like a family. My son came to me and said, "Dad, if Grandpa hadn't interfered, Mom would have been with him a long time ago." He also said, "Dad, you and Mom don't look compatible at all. You're too poor and too old. Why can't you let go and fulfill true love?" My son, whom I work hard to earn money for and raised, actually said such things to me. Over the years, I've been running around providing for them, trying not to let my father-in-law and mother-in-law find fault, meeting their material demands. They, in turn, mock me for not being there for them and for being too greedy for money. Wasn't every penny they spent earned by me at the cost of my stomach and my life? When I vomited blood in my stomach during social events and lay alone in a lonely hospital, I didn't call them for fear of worrying my family. But she was at home cooking a lot of food and spending her days with Lu Mingyan. When my father passed away, she refused to return home for the funeral due to the long distance and the need to take care of our son. I worked hard to earn money for this family. In the end, they all said that I was reaching above my station, that I wasn't good enough for her, that I was hindering her love with her childhood sweetheart. They said I was a chauvinist and possessive. Why couldn't I fulfill Gun Yinxing's love with Lu Mingyan? But no, I won't. I've been running around socializing for years, and my internal organs have long been worn out. I have a beer belly, stomach ulcers, arthritis, and other ailments. Even more ironically, my son brought me a DNA test report telling me that he was not my biological son. My son advised me to get a divorce because he knew he was Lu Mingyan's son. I told him my whole life and lived like a joke. My heart couldn't take the shock. Everything went black, and I collapsed to the ground, still calling out my son's name. But he left without even looking back. In that moment, I felt overwhelming regret. Why did I get married? Why did I work so hard to make money? Why did I waste my life on her and that heartless bastard? Luckily, I was reborn. Back before I married Gun Yinxing. Everything could still be turned around. When I got home, I hid the acceptance letter and started cooking. The house was rented by the Gu family. Gu Nianqing never lifted a finger. Household chores naturally fell to me. While cooking, I calculated how much the Gu family had spent on me so far, and when I should leave for university. The thought of the exact date I would leave this city made my heart surge. I took a deep breath, a smile spreading across my face. Soon, I'll be rid of Gu Nianqing, rid of the Gu family. I put the last bowl of soup on the table, and Gu Nianqing came in from outside. Not long after, there was a knock at the door. When I opened it, I saw Lu Mingyin's beaming smile. Little Zhou, I brought my nephew to freeload a meal. Your cooking is just too good, and the kid's been craving it. Lu Mingyin had the typical pretty boy look, working in a performing arts troupe, with delicate features like a heartthrob in a movie. The boy was lively and boisterous, familiar with the house, and went straight into the kitchen, grabbing rice in the biggest bowl he could find. 3 bowls later, there wasn't a single grain of rice left in the pot. He offered the rice to Gu Nianqing, Lu Mingyin, and himself in a childish voice. As for me, I was left to clean up in the kitchen. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw the 3 of them at the table, laughing and chatting. When they tasted the dishes, their pupils dilated in shock, and they spat it out immediately. Uncle, it's so spicy, so sour. I chuckled to myself, watching Gu Nianqing hastily serve them both soup. But when they tasted the soup, they spat it out too, spraying it all over the table. Did you and Xiaozhou have a fight? This food is poison. Is it even fit for human consumption? Lu Mingyin looked at me with a smirk, his face darkening as he grabbed his nephew and left. Gu Nianqing gave an awkward smile as she saw them off, returning with a frown. I ignored her and dumped all the food in the trash. Gu Nianqing said, "What's gotten into you? Why are you wasting food for no reason? His brother died on a mission, and he's raising the kid alone. Don't you have any sympathy? He only came to our house because he complimented your cooking. If you don't like it, you can say so. Why use such underhanded methods?" I didn't respond to her rant, just cleaned up the dishes. Seeing my calm expression, Gu Nianqing sighed in compromise. "Fine, I just won't let them come anymore. Don't sulk, we don't owe you anything." She stormed off to her room, slamming the door in protest to my attitude. Fortunately, I didn't care anymore. I was thinking about how to tell my elders that I wanted to call off the engagement. The next morning, I woke up early and packed my things. I saw the bedding, teacups, and wash basin that my parents had prepared for the wedding. The red double happiness symbol printed on the wash basin now seemed like a huge irony. After some thought, I decided to take these things to the market to sell, and then buy some meat to bring home. The Gu family had helped me over the years. I couldn't repay the debt with my body, but I could with money. After selling the items, I made 4 great unity, 10 yuan bills. This amount wasn't much in later years, but it was a fortune now. I had calculated that to avoid any complications, I should try to maintain the status quo with Gu Nianqing for the time being, coming home to cook and clean. When Gu Nianqing came home, I saw that she had put on makeup and was carrying takeout. "I'm eating out tonight. I'll bring back the leftovers for you." I knew she was going to have dinner with Lu Mingyin and his nephew, dressed in a floral dress and perfume. I didn't touch the takeout. I quietly ate my own food and went back to my room after finishing. The room was cleared of wedding supplies, leaving mostly books. My room was small, and the books were crammed under the bed, giving them a musty smell over time. I decided to leave. This place wasn't suitable for keeping any of my personal belongings anymore. I marked a cross on the calendar with a red pen. Another day closer to freedom. Suddenly, Gu Nianqing twisted the doorknob of my room, disgruntled. "Why is the door locked?" "What is it?" I didn't want her to see my room, so I opened the door. Gu Nianqing handed me a document. My parents asked me if the date for submitting the marriage report has been set. They also said the 15th of next month is an auspicious day. That's the day I got married in my past life. I said, "I'll go back and talk to my family about it." "What's there to discuss?" Her lips turned down, and she muttered, "Isn't it a foregone conclusion?" I stared at her in silence. To outsiders, I was indeed climbing the social ladder by marrying into the Gu family. The Gu family chose me, probably because they saw that I had no background, could live a stable life with Gu Nianqing, and could be a stay-at-home husband to support the Gu family. My parents felt that being favored by the Gu family meant I had ability. Besides, Gu Nianqing was a wealthy and beautiful woman, more than enough to be a match for a penniless nobody like me. In Jiangqing these past years, I did owe the Gu family. Whenever I thought of my past life, whether it was emotional debt or financial debt, I paid it all back with my life. This life, I don't want to repeat the same mistakes, to get rid of Gu family. Most important, stay away from Gun Yinqing. The next day, I packed my things and was about to leave when I ran into Gun Yinqing holding a lunchbox. She smiled. Old Xiao's fried dough sticks, old Chen soy milk. You're in for a treat today. She also bought 2 tea eggs. Gun Yinqing put the things in my hand and told me to sit down and eat. When you go back, do you want to buy something for your parents? Gun Yinqing took out a box of face cream from her bag and smiled. It's from Hong Kong for your mom to use. I paused. She doesn't use this kind of thing. Gun Yinqing said, otherwise, I'll go back with you. I was a little confused by her intention. She hated going to the countryside. The roads were bad, dusty when it was sunny and muddy when it rained, with cow dung everywhere. Before I could refuse, I suddenly heard a thunderous knocking on the door. Auntie, a naughty kid ran in with a small soccer ball. Come play with me. Gun Yinqing quickly wiped the sweat from his face with a handkerchief. Where's your uncle? Why isn't he playing with you? Xiong pouted, glanced at me, and rolled his eyes. He said he was afraid someone would get angry. I don't understand what that means. A child's thoughts are easy to guess. He lost his father, his mother remarried, and he depended on his uncle. Knowing his uncle's intentions, he was trying to play the little matchmaker, wanting to bring Gun Yinqing and Lu Mingyan together. That way, he would have a new family. Xiong's address to Gun Yinqing was enough to explain everything. He also pitifully said that his uncle wasn't feeling well. Gun Yinqing immediately put down the breakfast, hastily took Xiong's hand, and left without saying a word to me. I smiled softly. Not wanting to waste food, I finished breakfast, packed my things, and prepared to go back to the village. Back in the room, I drew another big cross on the calendar. 25 days left. I gave my college entrance exam materials to Wang Pe, the neighbor next door. Her son is a sophomore this year and needs them. Wang Pe sized me up, hesitant to speak, and finally gave me a bag of oranges. Carrying the oranges, I went home and told my parents about breaking off the engagement. The reason was that the family circumstances were too different and it wasn't suitable. It makes sense to marry someone of equal standing. My dad said, the old leader values you very much, and he's giving you his only daughter in marriage. This is your good fortune. My mom sat to the side, shelling peanuts. My son is smart and handsome. He'll have no trouble finding a wife. Why would he have to marry into their family? She continued, that girl is too pretty. Bringing her in would mean serving her like a young mistress. I'm just afraid how Shui will suffer and always feel inferior in the Gu family. My parents argued over this. I understood my dad. He felt like he couldn't lose face with his old boss. In the end, I said I would handle it. My dad saw my resolve. Marriage is a huge matter, and ultimately, it's my life to live. Seeing my attitude, he thought a disharmonious marriage with Gun Yinqing would be an even bigger disservice to his old boss. This is your life's biggest decision. You make up your own mind. I picked up the hoe and went to work in the fields. On the way back, villagers saw me and teased. Our village's first college graduate, so capable of marrying a city girl. Were we getting the wedding candy? Even though my dad agreed to let me decide, he frowned when he heard that and said, don't make such jokes. The villagers were unhappy, thinking my family was looking down on rural people now that we were associating with city folk. My dad was bad with words, unable to defend himself. After all, they took a girl's reputation very seriously. I didn't tell them about changing my college major. I just silently worked, doing all the heavy lifting around the house that I could. Unknowingly, I spent 20 days at home. When I left, my parents were reluctant. They brought the big yellow dog and saw me all the way to the bus station. They stuffed 15 big reunion, 100 yuan, bills into my hand. For my not-so-wealthy family, that was a fortune. I vowed never to let my parents suffer the pain of having a child that's as good as having no child in their next life. In my previous life, I was busy making money. Gun Yinqing, as my wife, didn't care about my parents at all. My parents were self-conscious, making all kinds of sacrifices to accommodate my family. Thinking about my previous life, my nose stung. Counting the days, only 5 more days. Just endure for 5 more days. I carried the local specialties and eggs and walked to the dorm. The door was wide open, revealing another harmonious scene of a family of three. Goon Yinching was clearly surprised by my appearance and stood up abruptly. I saw some of my textbooks stacked by the doorway, their covers torn. Lu Mingyin got up and pulled Xiong in my room. Goon Yinching hurriedly explained, his dorm's water pipes are broken and he's not doing well financially. He's staying here for a couple of days while the repairs are being done. The dorm was applied for by the Gu family. Let her handle it as she sees fit. I put the vegetables and eggs in the kitchen. Goon Yinching asked, have you eaten? If not, I'll buy some more dishes and we can all eat together. It will be more lively. You guys eat, I want to eat some noodles. I stayed in the kitchen and didn't go out. The laughter and cheerful voices returned to the living room. I cooked noodles and ate, settling my dinner. Goon Yinching, blushing, said to me, you sleep in the same room with me tonight. The bedroom will be for Xiong for the next 2 days. Your things have been moved to my room. Not hearing my answer, she quietly asked, anyway, we're getting married soon. Have you discussed with your aunt and uncle to decide the date? While speaking, she put the dishes on the table into the sink. I said, I'll wash them. Goon Yinching just watched from the side and asked me again when I plan to submit the application. My parents are asking too. If I break up with her now, who knows what might happen. I also saw Lu Mingyin with his ears pricked up, listening to the movements here. I stalled. The family calculated the date and said that date wasn't good. We're going to postpone it a little longer. Goon Yinching stared at me for a long time, then heard Xiong call her loudly. After she left the kitchen, I breathed a sigh of relief. If she kept asking, I wouldn't know how to answer. In the living room, they were sitting together watching TV, the atmosphere harmonious. I packed my things and saw 2 marriage registration application forms on her desk, all her information filled out. Her bedroom was bigger than mine. Sleeping on the floor in her room tonight would be all right for one night. Thinking again that it wasn't appropriate for me and her to be alone in a room, as we were about to break off the engagement. In 5 days, I had to go to school for registration. Sleep is sleep no matter where, so I was planning to sleep in the living room. Lu Mingyin sat in the living room like a Buddha, motionless and staring at the TV, as if he was playing a minor role in it, waiting for his moment to appear. The brat, on the other hand, was jumping up and down, running around every room with his little ball, giving me a headache. I had no choice but to go out of the room for some fresh air. How Shui, you're finally back. Aunt Wang, the neighbor, was sitting in the middle of the yard, fanning herself and keeping an eye on the gate of my dorm. She asked with a smile, has the date been set? When are you getting married? I'm waiting to eat your wedding candies. I could only offer a perfunctory smile. Aunt Wang suddenly lowered her voice. Your wife-to-be needs to be managed. How can she keep bringing men home? She stepped forward, took me aside, covered her lips with her fan, and spoke even lower. I've been watching for you these past few days. It doesn't look right for a man to bring a child and stay in a young lady's house. Miss Gu hasn't met many people. She's smitten with a pretty boy. Can that kind of actor provide for her? Isn't he just after Miss Gu's pretty face and good family background, trying to steal her away? If you dare to bring people into the house when you're not home, and your wife gets snatched away, where will you go to cry? Are you stupid? Aunt Wang advised me with enthusiasm. I was equally stunned. It was clearly Goon Yinching who was bringing people home, but she said it was my idea. Seeing that my mood was off, Aunt Wang added, Lu Mingyin, if he were in the old society, he'd be the type of man who lives off women. You need to be careful. Honestly, I didn't care whether Goon Yinching and Lu Mingyin ended up together or not. I just didn't want them flirting in front of my eyes and using me as a shield. Aunt Wang's words and glances were full of sighs. It was as if I was wearing a huge green hat. Aunt Wang praised me for being honest, knowing that I was a man who wouldn't argue, but being afraid of my wife wasn't good. She said that if necessary, she could step in to drive people away. I knew she wanted to curry favor with me, always wanting me to tutor her son in high school courses. Aunt Wang, can I trouble you with something? When she heard it, she couldn't help but widen her eyes. How can this be? I'll go back and clean up right away and wake that brat up. I turned around and went back to the dorm and found no one in the living room. Goon Yinching's room door was open, as if waiting for me to enter. As soon as I went in, I found that the luggage bag placed in the room had been opened, and it was covered in the brat's footprints. Lu Mingyin apologized. Little Zhou, I'm sorry. Xiong Xiong is too naughty. He thought it was trash and likes to step on trash, ripping up my books and stepping on my luggage. There was an abnormal sound coming from the kitchen again. I walked in and saw that the kitchen floor was covered in broken eggs. They were the native eggs I had painstakingly brought from my hometown, laid by chickens raised with rice by my parents. Lu Mingyan picked up Xiong Xiong, a hint of contempt flashing in his eyes, and said without remorse, "How much are these eggs? I'll pay you back. Can you afford to pay?" I stared at him coldly. Lu Mingyan was stunned, obviously not expecting me to pursue the matter. Xiong Xiong looked at my gloomy face and then at his uncle's delicate skin, realized the danger, and immediately burst into tears, crying, "Auntie, Auntie, I'm so scared, come save us." Gun Yinqing rushed over, and Xiong Xiong threw himself into her arms, crying and sniffling, complaining. Lu Mingyan pretended to be wronged and apologized to her. Xiong Xiong wanted to drink water and accidentally knocked the eggs over. I wanted to compensate, but before little Zhou could, he unreasonably frightened the child. Gun Yinqing glared at me and immediately coaxed Xiong Xiong. "It's okay. I'll teach your uncle a lesson for you later and make him apologize to you." Xiong Xiong hugged Gun Yinqing's neck and cried even harder. Gun Yinqing had no choice but to coax the child with candy. Out of her sight, Lu Mingyan glanced at me provocatively, mouthing silently, "Country bumpkin." Then he went to coax Xiong Xiong. Watching their little world of three, a barrier seemed to have formed, preventing outsiders from entering. I lowered my eyes and cleaned up the kitchen. The crying outside stopped, and Gun Yinqing walked in with a glass of water, seemingly ready to confront me. Then she saw me clutching all the broken eggshells from the kitchen in my hand, staring at her coldly. She discovered that all the eggs I brought were broken, and even the vegetables were thrown into the trash. Suddenly, her voice caught in her throat, her face turned pale, and she moved her lips. I took a deep breath internally and said calmly, "I'm going to tutor Zhang Yong and will stay at his house tonight." After packing my things, I was about to leave. Gun Yinqing stopped me. "Are you deliberately avoiding me?" "No. Perhaps I used to be docile and accommodating to her, always carefully catering to her, and now she suddenly saw a change in my personality." "You are, is it because of Xiong Xiong? He's just a 4-year-old child, a little mischievous. You're an adult. How can you be so petty?" "I've also explained the reason. They're only staying for 2 days. Are you jealous?" I rubbed my forehead. "You've already told everyone it was my idea. I trust you both, okay?" Gun Yinqing chuckled, her eyes sparkling. "You're just jealous." Saying this, she shook my arm. "Helping others is a joy. It's not a big deal. I'm sorry. I apologize to you." I took a step back, avoiding her hand, just as I heard Old Wang calling my name at the door. Gun Yinqing could only force a smile and watch me leave. After tutoring Old Wang's son for an hour, I slept on a makeshift bed in his room for the night. There were still 4 days left, and I figured that the money couldn't be saved. I should find a guest house to stay for 3 nights. Old Wang called my name with a smile, saying that my wife had brought breakfast back. As soon as I returned to the house, I saw the harmonious scene of the family of 3 sitting together eating soybean milk and fried dough sticks again. Lu Mingyan said, "Xiao Zhou, eat with us. Sorry for disturbing you for a few days. I bought you breakfast, your favorite fried dough sticks, and soybean milk." All the fried dough sticks on the table were held in the arms of the brat, each one bitten into. Lu Mingyan wore a stern face, but his eyes were smiling. "What's the matter? I told you to leave too for Uncle." "I don't want to. He's a bad guy. He's not qualified to eat our fried dough sticks." Xiong Xiong made faces, kicked his legs, and stuck out his tongue. I was too lazy to act along with him, went into the room to pack my things, ready to move everything out. Unwilling to pack, I suddenly discovered that my acceptance letter was missing. I was so anxious that I was sweating profusely, searching everywhere, and found it in the trash can. The back of the paper was scribbled all over, obviously the brat's masterpiece. When the brat saw it, he came forward to snatch it. "That's my painting." I was trembling with anger and pushed him away. Xiong Xiong fell to the ground, his tiger eyes widened, and he burst into a heart-wrenching cry. Actually, I didn't use much force. The brat was running too fast, lost his balance, and with my push, he fell to the ground. Lu Mingyan rushed up and said fiercely, Xiao Zhou, how can you push a child? That's too bullying. This child is so badly behaved, refusing to learn good things, messing with other people's stuff. Get out of here. Seeing the situation, Xiong cried even harder, shouting that he didn't want to see me, saying he was scared. Lu Mingyan held the child and comforted him, chuckling. This is my child. It's not your place to scold him. My Xiong isn't like you. You're just a kept man, getting too big for your britches. Throwing away the words, he also deliberately slammed the door shut. I knew that Lu Mingyan liked Gu Nianqing and also wanted to climb up her family's background. It's just that the Gu family looked down on Lu Mingyan, a pretty boy with no culture. Women all like handsome guys. Sometimes, values can follow good looks. I came from the countryside, a country bumpkin, relying on brute strength since I was young, studying hard to change my fate. Once, when facing him, I felt inferior, thinking I couldn't compare. In Gu Nianqing's heart, it was even more so. Now reborn, I've figured it out. Why should I compare myself to Lu Mingyan? It's like in this life, I want to walk a path without Gu Nianqing. Reboot a path completely different from the original. Actually, I once thought about retaliating against Lu Mingyan and Gu Nianqing, but the kindness of Gu's parents was genuine, and Lu Mingyan's ulterior motives toward Gu Nianqing were obvious. Otherwise, why would Xiong always call Gu Nianqing little aunt? Isn't the uncle's wife the aunt? Everybody knows his real intentions. Gu Nianqing tacitly condoned it. So, fulfilling Gu Nianqing and her Prince Charming is my greatest kindness to them. Rather than venting my anger, I'd rather let go and more calmly rush to my new life. I left a letter carrying my last bit of luggage and left this dormitory. I simply explained the matter of dissolving the engagement between her and me and wished her happiness in finding a soulmate and a happy life. For the remaining vacation, I agreed to tutor Zhang Yong at the nearby small park. Today, Zhang Yong was late. He was holding a popsicle, followed by a pretty girl. Gu Nianqing had dressed up specially today, wearing a white dress, and quickly walked up to me, hands on her hips. Zhang Yong didn't dare to approach, letting us talk. Gu Nianqing pouted, I'm hungry. Go back and cook for me. I looked at her quietly. Gu Nianqing felt uncomfortable being watched and put her hands on her hips. I'm not even angry. What are you angry about? Just tell me what you want. Why threaten me with breaking off the engagement? Let's go buy groceries. Reaching out to take my arm, I stepped back. Her hand missed, and she stared at me with wide eyes. You're avoiding me? Her face looked aggrieved. In the past, seeing her like this, I would feel guilty and blame myself, wondering if I wasn't good enough to her. Some people's hearts can be warmed. Some people's hearts, once cold, are completely cold. She belongs to the former, and I belong to the latter. I had already settled things with my parents and planned to visit the Gu family tomorrow. After our parents reach an agreement, her parents will tell Gu Nianqing. Then I can set off and go north to university. Seeing this, Gu Nianqing gently shook my arm and said coquettishly, Are you still angry? Xiong was indeed wrong, but you are an adult. You shouldn't argue with a child. You're too petty. Mingyan felt especially bad about this matter. He ran out last night to look for you and didn't come back until late. It rained heavily last night. He came back soaked to the bone, and now he has a high fever and is getting in for the clinic. Xiong is a little naughty. How much bad intentions can a child have? He doesn't understand you. That's why he's messing with you, if you interact more. I impatiently interrupted her. Why should I interact with him? Her lips trembled, and she stared at me, not knowing how to answer. Is he your biological nephew? Oh yeah, he certainly hopes you're his biological aunt. Lu Mingyan mocked me, saying I was a freeloader. Do you think I am? I stared at her, and Gu Nianqing's face changed little by little. Lu Mingyan and I are just ordinary friends. His parents died. I just feel sorry for the child. You can continue to feel sorry for him and be his aunt or his mother. I said calmly, You always compare my shortcomings with his strengths. I feel ashamed and can't compare and can't live the gigolo lifestyle. I chuckled twice. Gu Nianqing's delicate face turned red and white, and her eyes widened. You're too much. I came to you to file a marriage application, and you actually slander me. You should reflect on yourself, otherwise don't come looking for me. After saying that, she walked away angrily, her body swaying a little. I looked away, called Zhang Yong over and continued tutoring. Zhang Yong gasped, "Bro, are you really not going after sis-in-law? That pretty boy likes sis-in-law, and she's a bit confused, temporarily infatuated with that face." I closed my textbook. "Don't you want tutoring?" "Yes." Zhang Yong made a zipping motion across his mouth. I sneered inwardly. Maybe in her eyes, not submitting a marriage report with someone like me, who only wanted to climb the social ladder, was the greatest punishment. Utterly absurd. The next day, I went to the Goose, explained my purpose, returned half of the money on me to Mr. Gu, and wrote an IOU. The two elders of the Gu family were very surprised, seeing that my mind was made up. Recently, they'd also heard news of Gu Yinqing and Lu Mingyan being seen together often. Thanks to Wang Po's smooth-talking skills, the reward was naturally me tutoring Zhang Yong. Gu's parents agreed and didn't accept my money, only saying to give back to society in the future. Mr. Gu even helped me buy a train ticket and prepared some local specialties for me to take. I was moved. Take care. He sent someone to take me to the train station. After a 2-day, 1-night journey, I arrived at school, jolted along the way. In my previous life, I went south for university, and to accommodate Gu Yinqing, I studied a major I didn't like. Later, because she was pregnant, she urged me to go into business. In the end, I dropped out of school halfway and worked hard to earn money for the family early. Now, Reborn, I want to make up for this regret and study my favorite engineering. My parents can't help me much, so I have to rely on myself at school. A month later, I received a phone call from Gu Yinqing. It took Gu Yinqing some effort to find my whereabouts and call the school office. I didn't answer and just had the teacher hang up. Gu Yinqing started writing letters to me. First, she scolded me for being heartless, then explained that there was nothing between her and Lu Mingyan, and even said she wouldn't break off the engagement. She even mailed me 50 yuan for living expenses. I didn't reply, and I didn't take the money either. I just saved it. My experiences in my previous life allow me to quickly find part-time jobs to earn money to support myself. Over the course of a semester, Gu Yinqing wrote 13 letters. Her tone went from harsh at the beginning to softer and softer at the end, sincerely apologizing and hoping for a reply. I only read them and didn't reply. As for the money she sent, I immediately sent it back to Mr. Gu. Gu Yinqing wrote in the last letter that she would wait for me to come back for the new year and marry me. I didn't like it, but I could not go home for the new year. Because of her, could I? After the school winter break began, Zhang Yong came to pick me up. He told me about the recent gossip. The biggest event was that Gu Yinqing could no longer pester me. Miss Gu is married to Lu Mingyan. Zhang Yong wondered, she clearly can't let you go. Later, Wang Po told me that Gu Yinqing must have fallen into Lu Mingyan's trap. The customs of this era are still relatively conservative. Lu Mingyan used alcohol to get Gu Yinqing pregnant and then got the marriage certificate afterwards. Gu Yinqing had no choice but to marry him. Wang Po said, I knew Gu Yinqing would fall for Lu Mingyan. She's making her parents furious. Lu Mingyan works in a cultural troupe. Gu Yinqing was spoiled by her parents and had little life experience. Plus, Lu Mingyan knew how to perform, easily manipulating Gu Yinqing. When I was there, Lu Mingyan was more restrained. As soon as I left, Lu Mingyan took the opportunity to comfort her, taking advantage of the situation. Their relationship developed naturally. When the winter vacation ended, I followed the group back to school. At the train station platform, I unexpectedly saw Gu Yinqing. The difference was that I was going north and she was going south. We were on different platforms, heading in opposite directions. My train left first, and I got on the train. Through the glass, I saw her looking at me, as if she had 1,000 words to say. The train started, and we completely missed each other, restarting different life trajectories. A month after arriving at school, I received a letter from her. There were tear stains on the letter paper. She said that she was originally going to wait for me to come back and get married during the new year, but she was schemed against by Lu Mingyan. He deliberately got him drunk, and that kind of thing happened. She had to marry Lu Mingyan. She apologized to me. After that, I never received a letter from her again. After graduating from university, I decided to stay at the university and devote myself to the National Defense Project. Protecting the country is my lifelong career. 16 Extra. Gu Yinqing. I heard that Zhou Haoshua went to my house to find my parents, and I thought he must be there to report about getting married. I knew in my heart that he couldn't let me go. He would obediently admit his mistakes and come back to beg me. So I waited and waited in the dormitory, waiting for him to come to me. That's what I always thought. However, I never waited for him. Lu Mingyin told me that Zhou Haoxue had gone north to Harbin Institute of Technology, that he had abandoned me. I retorted that it was impossible and ran to the guest house, but didn't see him. I looked for Zhang Yong, who was surprised that I didn't know his university. I returned home, and my parents said that Zhou Haoxue came to our house that day to break off the engagement. I said angrily, "Why didn't you tell me? This is between him and me." My father scolded, "When you were flirting with Lu Mingyin every day, why didn't you tell us? Have you ever considered Xiao Zhou's feelings? You still have the nerve to say that. Lu Mingyin and I just have a pure friendship. You're lying to ghosts. A woman like you brings disreputable men home from the dormitory." I was stunned and retorted, "You're the ones with dirty minds, seeing everything as filthy. You're not filthy? What about Lu Mingyin then? Isn't it just that you're blinded by his good looks?" My father told me to get out. My mother pulled me outside, and I cried loudly. Isn't he my father? Why is he taking the side of an outsider? Daughter, you can't see into people's hearts. Didn't you really compare Lu Mingyin and Xiao Zhou? In fact, I was shouting and yelling to cover up the guilt in my heart. I selfishly hoped that my husband would have Lu Mingyin's appearance and Xiao Zhou's substance. If I really had to choose between Lu Mingyin and Xiao Zhou as a husband, I would choose Xiao Zhou. He has good character, a sense of responsibility, can endure hardship, and is capable. I was unwilling and said to my mother, I would definitely win back Xiao Zhou. I didn't expect to suffer a setback in the first step. I called him, but he rejected the call. I started writing letters frantically, saying a lot of cheesy things and sending him money. He didn't reply to a single one, and even mailed the money back to my father. My father ordered me not to harass him anymore. He scolded me for not being worthy of him. I was very angry, and Lu Mingyin came to find me again. He scolded Zhou Haoxue for not cherishing me. Xiong also tried every means to amuse me. I always kept my distance from him. Later, he noticed it, treated me to dinner, and even said that he would help me win back my fiancée. That night, I was in a bad mood and drank a lot, crying very badly. Then I saw Lu Mingyin as Zhou Haoxue. I heard him say he loved me in my ear. When I woke up, I realized everything was wrong. Lu Mingyin said he would take responsibility, that he would marry me. I didn't want to marry him at all, but what happened between me and him was known to everyone. Later, I realized that he had deliberately got me drunk and set a trap for me to jump into. Soon after the marriage, I became pregnant and dropped out of university without finishing my studies. Lu Mingyin didn't do housework all day long, and he also liked to drink and gamble, and he asked me for money from my family every day. My parents compared him with Zhou Haoxue. He got angry and took it out on me when he got home. At first, he just cursed, but later he pushed me. I had never suffered such a loss, and I also fought back. Women can never beat men, especially when I was pregnant. In the end, I had a miscarriage and developed a chronic illness. I regretted it very much and shouted that I wanted a divorce. At that time, divorce was a very shameful thing, but I couldn't stand it. Lu Mingyin refused to divorce me, knelt down in front of my parents, and begged me to forgive him, promising not to hit me again in the future. In reality, there is only 0 or countless times of domestic violence. Xiong's nature is also the same as Lu Mingyin. Because of that terrible miscarriage, my uterus was damaged. The doctor told me I couldn't get pregnant anymore. Lu Mingyin humiliated me, saying a woman who can't have children can't even be called a woman. After the divorce, who would want me? My mother also told me to endure it, that this was the path I chose. A wrong path. She forced me to walk down it, told me to accept my fate. In contrast to my languishing and merely existing in life, I suddenly thought of Zhou Haoxue. Zhang Yong said he saw his report in the newspaper, which included a photo of him. He was wearing work clothes, his eyes shining brightly as he looked at the camera, upright and heroic. My heart ached, remembering when his eyes were always full of me, when he humbled himself in the small kitchen, tinkering with everyday necessities. It felt like a past life. I had a dream. In the dream, I married Joe Haoshue, and soon after, I got pregnant. He treated me very well, giving me almost all the money he earned. I complained that he was always away from home, and because I had money and time, I messed around with Lu Mingyan again. The child lacked a father figure and called Lu Mingyan Dad. He believed that Lu Mingyan and I were in love, deliberately forged a paternity test, and brought Lu Mingyan and me together. I dreamed that Zhou Haoshue was so angry that he had a myocardial infarction and collapsed on the ground. At that moment, I suddenly opened my eyes, my heart pounding, feeling unusually suffocated. I heard someone pounding heavily on the front door. I got up to open the door, and the police were standing there. Because Lu Mingyan was caught red-handed having an affair with someone else's wife, they asked me to go to the police station for questioning. I couldn't help but recall the life in my dream, as if it had actually happened. Except Lu Mingyan's affair was with me. Now, karma has come full circle. It's my turn to suffer the consequences of my own actions. Seeing Lu Mingyan's deformed body, his face beaten black and blue, and hearing him blame the woman for seducing him. He dumped all the dirt on the woman, taking no responsibility at all, only knowing how to live off women. I couldn't take it anymore. I wanted a divorce. He refused and hit me, sarcastically asking if I was thinking about Zhou Haoshue again, and scolding me for not being worthy of him. Yes, I played a winning hand so badly, whether it was in my past life or this life. Maybe Lu Mingyan is my retribution. Ah, women, it only takes one scumbag to go from heaven to hell.